Imagine this. Every day for 2 years you receive hundreds of messages threatening to rape you. The stalker knows what you're wearing right now. They're messaging your teenage daughter. They've contacted your parents, your boss, your friends, all claiming you're a cheating whore. You're so terrified you've started cutting yourself with scissors just to cope with the panic. The only comfort you have is your husband, who holds you while you sob uncontrollably night after night. Then one day police show you security footage from an airport. And there on the video is your husband, the man who's been wiping away your tears for 2 years, taking the exact same photo that your stalker sent to terrorize you that morning. Your husband of 27 years isn't your protector, he's your tormentor. This isn't fiction, this happened to Amanda Plale, and it's one of the most psychologically twisted cases I've ever encountered. If you're a fan of the dark and mysterious stories, then you've come to the right place. Please make sure to follow this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Amanda and Paul Plale's relationship began innocently enough. They first met as 6-year-old children, became high school sweethearts at 16, and married 10 years later. From the outside, they seemed like the perfect family. Paul working as a self-employed electrician, while Amanda stayed home with their 3 daughters. But by 2013, 20 years into their marriage, cracks were starting to show. That year, Paul was forced to confess to Amanda that he'd been made bankrupt. He'd been living what she would later describe as a champagne life on a lemonade wage. Despite her disappointment, Amanda stood by him. She even agreed to uproot their entire family from Croydon, South London, where she'd grown up and had a support network, to relocate to Bexhill-on-Sea, East Sussex, where she knew absolutely no one. It was in this new town that Amanda finally began finding a sense of independence. She got a job at her daughter's school, made her own friends, and for the first time in their marriage had her own money. Paul wasn't happy about this newfound freedom. He would frequently tell her, "What if the girls are sick and you can't be at home? You're supposed to be the mom." Then, in early 2015, Amanda received a Facebook friend request that would set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately destroy her life. The request came from Anthony Reynolds, an old flame from her school days. They began exchanging innocent messages, catching up on old times. When Anthony asked if she was happy, Amanda confided that she wasn't, but felt trapped by her mortgage and responsibilities to her children. When he suggested meeting for a drink, she declined, telling him it wouldn't be appropriate. He seemed to accept this, signing off with, "That's okay, you old trout. I'll see you in the next life." But a few weeks later, everything changed. The messages from Anthony's account suddenly took a dark, threatening turn. "Does your husband know you're a cheating whore?" one message read. "Do all your friends know you've been talking to other men?" Within days, the harassment escalated dramatically. Her family members, including Paul, started receiving messages about Amanda's supposed infidelity. The stalker seemed to know her every move, describing her clothes when she went running, threatening to rape her, even commenting on her new handbag while she was out shopping. The messages were relentless, up to 300 a day. When Amanda deactivated her Facebook account in an attempt to escape, the stalker found her email. When she changed her email, they found that too. The tormentor seemed to have access to every aspect of her life. They messaged her parents, her boss, her friends. Most disturbing of all, they even sent messages about her teenage daughter saying things like, "Your daughter's stunning. Where does she get her looks from?" Throughout this nightmare, Paul appeared to be Amanda's rock, her only source of comfort in a world that was rapidly spinning out of control. He was there to hold her when she cried, to listen as she read each horrifying message, to comfort her when she became too terrified to leave the house. He watched as his wife scratched at her hands with pen lids and scissors, self-harming from the stress. He was there when she contemplated suicide. All the while, he played the role of the concerned husband perfectly, even receiving threatening messages himself to maintain the facade. This went on for 2 years. 2 years of unrelenting psychological torture. But in March 2017, a breakthrough finally came from an unexpected source. The stalker sent Amanda a photo of the entrance to Gatwick Airport, claiming they were leaving the country. Detective David Gibbs immediately sprang into action, checking the airport's CCTV footage and car park records. What he found would blow the case wide open. There on the security footage was Paul Plale, taking the exact photo that had been sent to his wife. Let that sink in for a moment. The man who had comforted Amanda through 2 years of psychological torture, who had held her while she cried, who had watched her scratch her own skin until it bled, was the very person inflicting that torture. Her rock had actually been her tormentor. When police arrested Paul, he somehow managed to convince Amanda it wasn't him. She believed him so completely that she allowed him back into their lives. The messages, of course, continued, reaching a peak of 300 in a single day. It wasn't until police showed her the irrefutable CCTV evidence that she finally accepted the devastating truth. In January 2018, Paul Plale stood trial at Lewis Crown Court. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, including the CCTV footage and messages traced to their home internet router, he continued to deny everything. He even claimed he'd been stitched up. The jury wasn't convinced. It took them less than 30 minutes to find him guilty of stalking and coercive and controlling behavior. Judge Christine Henson didn't mince words during sentencing. You watched your wife effectively crumble before you because of the fear she was experiencing from this online abuse, she told Paul. You pretended to comfort her. That is the most calculating and cruel behavior. She sentenced him to 3.5 years in prison. For Amanda, the revelation that her husband of 27 years was behind the abuse was almost impossible to process. This man had watched me self-harm and spend days in bed because I was scared to leave the house, she said. I thought he was Prince Charming, but actually, he was watching my every move. The impact of Paul's betrayal continues to haunt Amanda to this day. I am terrified to leave the house, go to work, or the shop across the road, she said in her victim impact statement. I panic when my phone goes off. To think it was the one person I believed I could always trust. I no longer trust anyone anymore. So why did he do it? What could possibly drive a man to psychologically torture his wife of nearly 3 decades? According to prosecutors, Paul was motivated by a desire to control Amanda. When she began to gain independence through her job and new friends, he felt threatened. He created the Anthony Reynolds persona, a real person from Amanda's past, to test her loyalty. When she rejected Anthony's advances, Paul twisted this act of faithfulness into an opportunity to destroy her self-worth and independence completely. This story is particularly disturbing because it forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the monster isn't hiding under the bed or lurking in the shadows. Sometimes they're lying right next to us, pretending to be our protector, while orchestrating our destruction. Amanda's case has become a powerful example of how stalkers can hide behind technology, and how the people closest to us can sometimes be the most dangerous. Today, she uses her experience to help other victims, speaking out during National Stalking Awareness Week and encouraging people to report suspicious messages immediately. These people don't go away, she says. You just need to make the first step to get help. Her case has helped drive a 540% increase in stalking reports to Sussex police over 3 years. If you or someone you know is experiencing stalking or harassment, please reach out for help immediately. No one should have to endure what Amanda went through. And remember, in this age of technology, the person behind the threatening messages might be closer than you think. If you found this story compelling, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories about the strange, dark, and mysterious. And let me know in the comments below, have you ever discovered that someone close to you wasn't who they appeared to be? Until next time, stay safe out there.